Fears of a snap election remain, but what are the real issues affecting the Greek economy? Athanasios Vamvakidis joins me down the line now to share his insights. Athanasios, Greece now hopes to leave the bailout programme before its scheduled end in 2016 without further assistance. Now, this is an aim which has seen the government receive criticism after vigorously defending it over the years. But what is your take on the matter?
Well, the current program of Greece with the Troika is supposed to finish in the first quarter of 2016. The government has been discussing plans to see if the program can end earlier, given that Greece was actually able to access markets earlier this year. However, we believe that the recent market volatility suggests that it might be too early for Greece to stop the program now. Moreover, negotiations in order for the day after the program include a number of steps that will take longer. They need to conclude the sixth review of the current program. They need to negotiate an OSI, which is an extension of maturities of the official loans. And they need to discuss and negotiate a new framework of somewhat lighter conditionality of the current program without funding, which, however, will replace the current program. These negotiations will need to take place in any case, but recent market volatility suggests that it might be too early, so most likely these negotiations should progress next year and should be completed sometime by mid of or end of next year rather than earlier.
Analysts at Capital Economics warned that the recent spike in bond yields could hit these plans. What do you make of the suggestion from some that the Eurozone sovereign crisis 2.0 is ahead, as the yield on Greek 10-year government bonds continue to trade well above 7%?
To that extent, the recent market volatility was triggered by global developments. The Greek bonds and more broadly periphery bonds are part of the global carry trade. So recently they have been very sensitive to the overall market risk appetite and risk sentiment. However, looking beyond the recent volatility, one of the concerns we have is the debt dynamics in the periphery if the ECB fails to inflate the economy. Even if you assume that the periphery countries, including Greece, they meet their fiscal targets from now on, if Eurozone inflation in the long term is 1% instead of the ECB target of 2%, then you get very difficult debt dynamics in the whole periphery.
According to Samaras, the only thing that seems to be worrying the markets now is the so-called political risk, considering the country was rocked by fresh anti-austerity demos amid the high unemployment. Do you think this is a fair assessment of the Greek economy?
As I said earlier, I think most of the recent volatility was triggered by global risk sentiment. However, the market is increasingly getting concerned about political risks in Greece. Part of the reason that Greek assets have performed very well in the last 2 years has been political stability. Regardless what will happen after the election, the uncertainty of the outcome and the uncertainty of how a Syriza government will look like if Syriza indeed wins could create some market volatility. Beyond the short-term volatility, at the end of the day, we believe the market will focus on the actual reforms. Regardless who is in the Greek government next year, if reforms, the very much needed reforms for Greece are being implemented, I think the market will think positive about Greece. On the other hand, if you have a government that is not willing to implement reforms because of a different agenda, or a government that does not have the political capital to implement reforms, then both the market will get concerned, but also this will affect the real economy and the expected recovery will be much lower.
Athanasios, pleasure to speak with you. Thank you. Well, that's all from me for the moment, but also today we have the Week Ahead Press Review and Forecast programme, so make sure you keep on clicking back. Goodbye for now.